lively discussion this evening.
Amen, amen. Before we get started this evening, please allow me a moment to briefly tell you about the Black Gold Nation movement. Our ultimate goal is to put ourselves in a position by which we can own and or control the environment where we live, where we exist, because we have learned that when we allow other people to control our environment, we lose, period. When we allow other people to control any aspect of that environment, any systems within that environment that other people control who aren't us, we always find ourselves on the bottom of that system. So what we're trying to do, since we no longer want to be on the bottom, since we no longer want to continue to lose, it is our contention, those that are members and supporters and leaders in this movement, is that we absolutely must be in control. Because again, if we are not, we are always on the losing end. So we're not here, Brother Craig and I, we're not here to just inform or educate you. We are here to inform, educate, motivate, mobilize, organize, and build. Every single thing we say and every single thing we do is about bringing our people together to find the right Black people so we can build a nation within this nation that has power, period. Everything we do is about building power because power is the only thing that's going to stop what's happening to our people from happening. What happens to Black people happens because we don't have the power to stop it. So if we want it to stop, we got to have some power. Tonight's show title is Plutocracy, Reparations, and Cryptocurrency: Why It'll Never Be Given and How We Position Ourselves to Take It. Plutocracy, Reparations, and Cryptocurrency: Why Reparations Will Never Be Given and How We Position Ourselves to Take It. Tonight's show is sponsored by Regenerations 180, Regeneration Freedom School, the Black Gold Nations Movement's youth education model and program. With the Black Gold Nation movement, we fully understand that we can't build anything without knowledgeable, capable, and willing young people and youth to carry the mantle of what we build now to pass down to them. And Sister Jennifer Higgins, the Black Gold Nation Movement's National Youth Education Division Director, is doing just that. Starting Tuesday, March 2nd, Sister Jennifer will be hosting a book club on the book, The Willie Lynch Letter and the Making of a Slave. To learn more about Regeneration 180 Freedom School, and the SOS Book Club, and if you want to get your teenager involved, you can visit her website at www.regeneration180.org / teen self work. I will place that link in the chat so you guys can go visit her website if you are interested in getting your teenager involved, or if you're interested in learning more about what she does with her school in the Black Gold Nation's education model moving forward. So with that, we're going to jump right into tonight's show. Let me make sure I post the link. Okay, the link to our website is in the chat. All right, so and one more thing, I know that there are still people in Texas and Louisiana that are still dealing with power and water issues. Brother Ken told me a few days ago that there are still people in and around Shreveport that are still struggling with water. The water is still not on. So we want to make sure we keep all of those persons in our righteous and positive energy and prayers. So with that, we're going to jump into the show. Plutocracy, reparations, and cryptocurrency: why reparations will never be given and how we position ourselves to take it. So again, it is our belief, the supporters and members of this movement, that we're never going to be given reparations by demanding it. We believe that we'll never receive anything by simply demanding it, because white people don't care about our demands, regardless of how right we are about what we're owed and how much we can prove it. They simply do not care. That's the first reason. Second reason we'll never get it is that we have zero power to back up any sort of demand. So demanding it don't matter because you don't have anything to back up your demand. And thirdly, power doesn't work that way. Power is never given, shared. Power only respects power, and power is always taken. So power is everything. And that's what we are always about: obtaining and keeping and building upon power. So that's going to be our first question tonight, Brother Craig. What exactly is power?
Well, I like the definition that Dr. Wade Noble coined. Power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. Let me say that again. Dr. Wade Noble's phenomenal African descendant in American cultural scientist said power is the ability to define reality and have others respond to your definition as if it were their own. So this is the ability to make everything in the physical realm real. Language, images, nutrition, everything. And everybody responds to your definition of everything as if it were their own. That's what power is.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So every other week we have our cinematic connections for revolutionary change, our movie review, whereby we review movies and in our documentaries and explain how its subject matter and content is affecting or has affected our people, both here in America, Africa, and the diaspora. For the past 4 movie reviews, and we have one more remaining, we've been reviewing a documentary called Plutocracy. This is a 5-part documentary that's been extremely eye-opening as relates to how this whole game is played. So question number 2, Brother Craig, is why are we spending 5 movie reviews on one topic? What exactly is plutocracy?
Well, I mean, plutocracy is the group of architects and engineers, this class of entities who have created, developed, designed the philosophy, the system and game of capitalistic white supremacy. These are the shot callers of the world. And they are the ones who, in the movie Wall Street, Michael Douglas, who's playing the role of Gordon Gekko,
yep.
he says, we're the ones who pull the rabbit out of the hat. We're the ones who tell you how much that paper clip is gonna cost. He said, you're not naive enough to believe that we live in a democracy. Are you sport? So these are the individuals who define reality. And in order to truly know, learn, understand, and know what we're involved in, you gotta know, learn, understand, and know who these people are and what they've done historically and what they will continue to do going into the future. And so each episode of the Plutocracy series lays this down. So you learn what capitalism is. So you learn what socialism and communism are as they have tried to counter the impact of capitalism and where this thing really is at. So the plutocrats, who are the people who make up the plutocracy, this class of architects, engineers, the power brokers, the plutocrats are the shot callers in this game. And they are about that life. They're about destruction. They're about oppression by any means necessary.
Got it. And how deeply rooted is this belief in plutocracy and the obtaining of power? How long have the plutocrats been doing what they do?
For thousands of years, and they're willing to kill for that. They're willing to kill for that.
Yeah. As I always say, when they say by any means necessary, they absolutely mean it. Absolutely mean it. Okay, so are plutocrats the only players in this thing, or are there levels and layers to the whole plutocratic structure? Is it just them, or are there other entities involved in the controlling of this thing?
Well, they are the if you look at this from an information dissemination standpoint, and you look at the exoteric, EXOTERIC, you look at the exoteric level, of their power infrastructure, that would start with the aristocrats. These are the people who are the upper middle income. They're the managers of the game, and then the upper level managers and the people right below the actual shot callers, they're called oligarchs. Oligarchy. Oligarch, oligarchy. And then at the exoteric, and that's the mesoteric level, mesoteric. That's the middle section of this information. They know more than the exoteric level. The exoteric folks just pretty much follow the direction that's given from the plutocrats at the esoteric level, ESOTERIC, the highest level. That's an inner circle, and they don't share that. That's only a close-knit group. But then the oligarchs or the oligarchy, those people at the middle level, they then take that information and they control the information flow to the aristocracy and the regular people at the level. So the plutocrats create this power dynamic through these classes, but they're the only people who fit into their class. And it's not just a money thing, okay? It's not just a money thing. It's a genealogy bloodline thing that goes hand in hand with it.
Can you give a quick example, just for clarity, as to who would be a plutocrat, who would be an oligarch, who would be an aristocrat?
Well, you look at individuals like the Rockefeller, the DuPont, the J.P. Morgan Chases, the Vanderbilts. These the people who started this. The Carnegies, the Mellons, those family names, those are your plutocrats. And of course, they make room for other shot callers who muscle in, like your Bill Gates and whatnot. But those are your plutocrats. Your oligarchs are also wealthy individuals, but they would be somebody like Donald Trump. You know, your next tier rich people who you may say, how could a billionaire not be in that group? There are a lot of other politics that factor in to that dynamic. So that's your next level of billionaires within that particular realm. Upper level, 100 plus millionaire, almost on the verge of billionaire, and your billionaires. And then your aristocrats are your multimillionaires. These are managers, upper level managers in the game, CEOs of corporations, things of that particular nature. But that's what rounds out those individuals. And what they do, you have an overall.
You're muted. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, all right. They have an overall macro structure that's white, and your shot calling nations. China have the structure like that. Japan, Germany, all of them have structures like that. But then underneath that, they will have like Negroes. You will have a micro plutocratic oligarch aristocratic structure that's a power structure within the different low levels of ethnic entities. And so you got the main individuals, and then you got a subset, the same type of structure in each ethnic group,
Right.
And their role is to sell people on the belief that they can participate in this so-called dream. And the last I checked, when you're dreaming, you're asleep, or hell, you're damn near asleep at your seat when you're talking about your daydream. So that's the structure that is created for a macro and a micro level.
Okay, so keeping it very simple, uh, based on our understanding of plutocracy, oligarchs, aristocracy, the philosophy, the system, and the game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism, we will never be given reparations because finish that sentence.
Because the power brokers are not going to let that happen. I mean, you have to have votes at the congressional and the Senate level. The United States of America has roughly 200 million white folks. Okay, 300 million white folks, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are only 40 something million, right at 50 million African descendants. And you have, close to 60 million Latinos. So the Congress and the Senate make those legislative decisions, and that's majority white body. So you're not going to ever get, it's basic.
Yeah.
The history of the country is racist, white supremacy, and the people who are in the shot calling decisions are white.
So it's not just about this being antithetical to their belief system. It's not just about it's antithetical to their philosophy. It's not just about them never doing anything for Black people to move us forward. It's not just about how they roll and what they do as it relates to taking, obtaining, and keeping power. It's not just those things. It's quite simply we don't have the numbers. We don't have the votes.
and it's like to hear people with all of this idealism and romanticism and fantasy, it's sickening, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But no, you don't have the vote, but you can get the majority of votes in majority Black townships, cities, mid-sized, small cities, towns, and villages. You can create those opportunities so you can then tap in to some perceived reparations, but reparations are not going to come to us the way that our people dream.
That's right. That's
Don't
right.
happen.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And we're gonna get to that part. All right. So sadly, we've had a lot of organizations, 99.9% of our organizations, who seriously believe that demanding white people do right by us is the way to go. We really, really believe that if we have the data, if we have the numbers, if we have the proof, look, we can prove that you owe this to us. We can prove that people have benefited, despite despite everything to the contrary, as far as that's not how it works. Our organizations have believed that, and to this day, people are still believing that. So how has the fundamental lack of knowledge and understanding of plutocracy, as well as the philosophy, the system, and the game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism, how has that played a role? Our lack of understanding of those fundamental truths of how things work, how has that lack of understanding played a role in our current belief system of demanding things from white people who simply don't give a damn?
It plays the ultimate role because you sit up and take 19 damn years to come up with your great ass plan that makes no damn sense about something that ain't never gonna happen because the philosophy system and game of capitalist white supremacy is predicated on the creation, maintenance, and expansion of a permanent underclass.
That's right.
So in order for you to win, even on a good day, they ass gotta lose. That's right. How they look at it.
Right.
And they don't like lose. And so when you don't understand plutocracy and you don't understand capitalism and you don't understand the history of how all this stuff works, all you do is waste time philosophizing, doing pseudo-intellectual masturbation on yourself and jacking off. You are jacking off for no reason and getting yourself all hyped up like something is about to happen and ain't nothing gonna happen. Because what you're doing makes no damn sense because the appeal that you're trying to make appeal to straight up goddamn killers and gangsters who don't give a damn. And if you see plutocracy, man, these white folk kill their own people.
That's right.
They will bust a cap in your goddamn ass.
That's right.
So if they do that to their own people, what in the hell are you talking about?
That's right. Okay.
You just waste. And it's sad, man.
Oh yeah.
And it's so funny when you see that one of those last interviews with Martin Luther King, and it regrettably, I think I moved our people in a burning building. I just didn't think, it was easier to integrate a lunch count than to start going after this goddamn money. He had to come to terms. But this is a guy who went to college to be a damn sociology major. He didn't know damn anything about economics. Hell, he didn't even know nothing about the true identity of Gandhi. Racist age.
That's right. That's right. So, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're wasting time building concepts that's never going to work, and you're getting people's hopes and aspirations up, which now feed into more apathy, pessimism, cynicism.
Right. Right. And at the end of the day, brother, most of our solutions are based on someone else doing it for us. It's based on somebody giving us something. It's based on us not having to work. It's based on us not having to mobilize, organize, educate. I mean, it's based on, we want somebody else to do the work. And it simply don't work that way because, again, as I said initially, power is never given, nor is it shared. And we don't seem to get that. So, all right, if
one thing to that, you and I almost the same age, and every damn Saturday, to your point, that was a TV show that used to come on every Saturday. And the show was called Fantasy Ice. And you had tattoos. And the way you know it was about to be some foolishness going on, you hear tattoo every week start the show. That plane! That plane!
That's right.
Meaning the fools are coming, goddamn. The fools are coming. So it's all fantasy, man. And our people got to get out of fantasy, idealism, and romanticism and start to deal with realism. Because if not, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and of course, time is not on our side. Say again?
I said we are in trouble.
Oh. I said it's gonna get worse. Okay, all right. So if you missed the beginning of the show, the introduction, you are listening to the Revolutionary Code, where we bring the truth about how governmental politics actually works in every facet of human existence. and how that affects our people, melanated Black people here in America. Tonight's show is our 27th episode, and it's titled Plutocracy, Reparations, and Cryptocurrency: Why It'll Never Be Given and How We Position Ourselves to Take It. My name is Tamani Mwandani. I'm the founder of the Black Owned Nation Movement, and my co-host is Brother Craig B. Lee, who is our National Director of Political Strategy and Implementation. So the next question, Judas and the Black Messiah. For those who do not know, if you are unaware, this is an absolutely excellent movie on HBO Max about a melanated Negro, an FBI informant, William O'Neill, his efforts to sell out and betray a young man by the name of Fred Hampton, the 21-year-old chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, and how that betrayal ultimately leads to Fred Hampton's assassination by the Chicago Police Department. So now this question is going to be a lengthy one, Craig. If you were there during that time, if you could have been there to assist Chairman Fred Hampton and the Panthers, what three things would you advise him to do immediately per your understanding of plutocracy and the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy and racism? What were three things you would tell this young brother to do immediately?
Although I know he wouldn't have listened because he was a part of a national organization that did not embrace the first thing, which would be my recommendation to embrace the 6 pillars of empowerment: spirituality, right culture, education, economics, socioeconomics, and politics. They were in the governmental political realm. They lacked spirituality and right culture. So that would have been the first thing. The second thing I would have told him was we need to focus our attention on leveraging townships or smaller towns outside of the Chicago area where you had some majority Black presence, like Gary, Indiana, where you had majority Black presence, places that weren't too far from Chicago. While still doing work in Chicago, you needed to start to learn how to navigate municipal governmental structure. And it's one thing to talk that talk, but you had to do that. And then the third thing I would advise him is to learn how architecture and development work. And I always tell you the same thing. And the thing that I always tell you is that you cannot build a structure from the roof down. So I would have had him learn some of the aspects of architecture and construction, engineering, development, because he would have then learned why you have to start these things at the local level versus focusing on a national level agenda. And again, that would have never happened because he was a part of a body politic that was rooted in Oakland and it had national scope, and they had not solidified any legitimate political power in any city that they were in. They were trying to force the federal government to change, and you hadn't even changed your local government. And therefore you were dead on arrival.
And it is it's safe to say that advice that was needed by all of our leaders in our movements, from the time we first started organizing, from Garvey to the Nation of Islam, to King, to Malcolm, to SNCC, to the Panthers, to even the Shrine, the organization I come out of. It's safe to say that those three things you would have tried to get Brother Chairman Fred Hampton to do immediately. It's safe to say that every organization we ever had that's tried to do a good thing, a positive, righteous, necessary thing for Black people, all of them needed to understand those three things, correct?
Exactly. And that's why all of them have failed. Yeah. Because without the 6 pillars of empowerment, especially the first 2, you can't see the plots that's going to set you up. You can't see the William O'Neills. You can't see the conspiracy. The creator will give you insight. Without right coaches, you're not going to have the right practices. So inside of the uh, uh, Panther Party, you had misogyny and rapes and things like that going on. So on one end, the outward level, people saw free lunch programs, the healthcare deals, the free legal clinics, all of that was great. But inside of the ranks, you had a lot of thuggery going on, a lot of oppression of females, and a lot of things going on. And karma is real.
Yeah.
So, those things come back on you in a variety of different ways. And when you're going to do battle with this psychotic, sadistic, evil killer in the United States, and you going for the United States government, bruh,
yeah.
Your spirituality better be tight, bruh.
Yeah, and not only that, your spirituality got to be tight. Your culture has to support that spirituality and that spiritual development. You got to have the right education to understand who and what you are, as well as what you're up against, and the sheer brutality of what you're up against. Of course, you got to have your own economic structure and not just one economic stream that's coming from liberal white people. Yeah. But you got to understand, how the levers of government work to support you and what you're trying to do. Of course, you got to have political education. And again, it's safe to say that all of our movements have failed because they didn't have, and of course, there's a lot more than this, but just those three things. Not only have all of our movements failed because they didn't have those three pieces of advice you would have given Chairman Fred, but it's also safe to say that our organizations right now today, every last one of them are either going to fail or are irrelevant because they're not dealing with any real issues. Is that correct?
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And it's sad that our people are still having the same conversations about the same stuff. It's like that video, one movie review, we watched a panel discussion of Black leaders in 1972.
Yeah.
1972, right? And they, again, you could upgrade the wardrobe and the technology, and Black people were having the same conversation of the same exact thing today. Why? Because they don't understand those three things you would have told Chairman Fred.
And your ancestral leader, father, Reverend Cleve, he blasted their ass so cold-blooded.
Yeah.
And this is back in 72. He was calling them out then.
Yep.
Letting it be known these cats were sellouts. They were Uncle Tom. Weren't gonna do a damn thing. This is goddamn 49 years ago. I mean 50. Yeah, 49 years ago. Was that 49? Yeah, 49 years ago.
Yeah, 49.
And it's sad.
Yeah.
But that's why, and because they lack the understanding of plutocracy, capitalism, and they don't know the real history of America, and they deal with, and then a bigger part of that too is the religiosity factor that they've indoctrinated us with. Mm-hmm. It has us so messed up in the mind that the folks, the only thing that they can embrace is idealism, romanticism, and fantasy. And we just, the truth and reality is almost like it is just too hard for the Negro.
Right. It's like the problem. It's like the problem for a lot of us is so great. We can't wrap our minds around a feasible solution. So we're grasping for straws, despite the fact that the straws got all kind of holes in it. Most of the straws ain't even new. And the logic of that straw ever amounting to anything, it's It's sad. It's sad. So, without going too far with this next question, your answer, and this might be a hard one for you to not get too deep on, but based on what you know, based on what you've learned over the past 3 or 4 days about the Black Panther Party, uh, what was your overall belief about them before the movie Judas and the Black Messiah and all of your subsequent research after the movie? And now, what did you think about them as an organization before the movie and all the research you've done over the past few days? And now, how did you look at them then, and how do you look at them now based on everything you've learned?
I've always, before and up to now, before I even saw the movie, before the 1995 Panther movie came out by Mario Van Peebles, I always respected their courage
Right.
and their desire to put it on the line. Especially because Huey P. Newton is my homeboy from Monroe, Louisiana. So I always respected their courage. As I researched them, over 2 decades ago, I learned things that were very disturbing to me. And I knew they were promoting Marxism, socialism, communism, but I really didn't get that much into it because I already knew that those systems were asinine. Because I knew within capitalism existed our cultural, economic, and political system of free enterprise. And I understood why they and many of our people have an issue with capitalism, because free enterprise is shrouded, engulfed with white supremacy racism. So it gives the illusion that the entire thing is messed up, when really it's just a philosophy of white supremacy and the system of racism that's messed up. But free enterprise is an Afrocentric creation. And so I knew I didn't get that much into studying them back then on those lines. But over the past week, bruh,
Yeah.
I really had to get into this. And man, they were naive as hell. As much as I love them, Fred Hampton having his roots in Louisiana, as much as I love him, Geronimo Pratt, one of the other central figures, Morgan City, Louisiana, as much as I love them, they were naive as hell. They didn't have a clue really what capitalism was, and they damn sure didn't have a clue for real about communism and socialism as articulated by Karl Marx and the other entities that they revered. And so it's been an eye-opening past week doing this research to be prepared to answer questions not only tonight but for in the future, because a lot of young people, they really have no, you know what they focus on in terms of socialism is everything being goddamn free. But they really don't understand that in a socialistic and communistic country, the government is controlling every goddamn thing.
That's right.
And the desire to eliminate classes, which is retarded, because that's going to always happen. You still going to create a class because the bureaucrats who even exist in this system, they will exist in a stronger way in that system. And you say, well, Craig, how do you know that? Hell, you got the best working case example with the USSR that came into power in Lenin in 1917 with the United Socialist Soviet Republic. And that goddamn thing lasted, just for a few years, a few decades. That was over with in 1991. So in order for it to be over with in 1991, that means it was pretty much over in 1981. So if you say 1917 to 1981, what is that, 64 years?
Mm-hmm.
So 64 years, they were in trouble, probably as early as 71. Because what they found is that the people couldn't produce.
Yeah.
There's no incentive to produce. If you got a little job and your job is to walk a goddamn dog every day down the street, that's all the hell you gonna do. Cause you ain't gonna own no business. You got a house, maybe a car, maybe I don't know if they give you that. Some clothes, some food, you get a voucher. Brother, that's not even African culture.
Mm-hmm.
So to know that the Panthers were that entrenched into that foolishness is very sad.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also amazing that as obviously as intelligent as the leadership was, they didn't seem to think beyond the system that they were pushing. They didn't seem to think beyond the political strategy or even the philosophy. And we've had this conversation a number of times, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it when we get to the movie review. But the fact that they just glossed over all of the African contributions to revolution at that time, all the people that they did not study, and they fancied themselves to be called sons of Malcolm, and Malcolm was talking about what you said. You got to take over your local politics and economics. So of course we'll get into that when we get to the movie review. But it's amazing how naive they were, and despite the intelligence, how ignorant they were. And I don't know, brother. I don't know how one doesn't, give them the side eye when they're talking all this police murdering, shooting noise, but when your boy gets assassinated, nobody dies. Nobody. I mean, you don't do no kidnapping. You don't bomb nobody's house. You don't shoot nobody. You don't even snipe from a distance. They kill your boy and you just fuck it, dismantle. So I don't know how we don't look at the group as a
brother. This permission. I just wanted to give a comment.
Can you wait to the Q&A part of the show, brother?
Oh! I stand corrected. No problem.
Cool, thank you. I appreciate it.
Make sure you note that now.
Yeah, don't forget, brother Mike, because we want to hear it.
Will do.
Cool, excellent. All right, so the next question, brother Craig. Tonight's show is titled Plutocracy, Reparations, and Cryptocurrency. While we'll never be given reparations and how we position ourselves to take it. We've already discussed the first two parts, plutocracy, reparations, and while we'll never get it. Now let's talk about what matters most, how we take it. Cryptocurrency and the technologies upon this new form of currency, the technology that's based on this new currency. Why is cryptocurrency so important, and how can it become or lay the foundation for our reparations?
Well, I mean, cryptocurrency, digital currency, that's where this is going. Blockchain technology, the new wave of currency for global currency. And so you're either going to be in that space learning how this works, or you're going to be left behind, because the days of fiat currency is all but over.
Yep.
And this thing is going to a place that many people, not only African descendants, but many people are not prepared for. The level of security clearance that you're going to need just to be able to participate. A lot of people not gonna even have ID, and you're not gonna be able to hide.
Yeah.
If you want to tap in to the system. Also, right now is the time to position yourself to become a millionaire. Our good partner, Brother Harlan Robinson, says it best. We're about to see the biggest generation of billionaires in world history, and these are going to be companies that are going to be 100 employees or less. So you're not going to even have to have like 50,000 and 100,000 employees anymore. All these things are being streamlined, okay? And you're going to be able to be a billionaire if you got the right idea and you got the right system. You're going to be able to maneuver, but it requires education. And if you don't know how to think, you don't know how to read, you don't know how to understand, hey man, you damn near need to go on and take some cyanide right now. And go, or just find you a goddamn bridge on one of these interstates and just go on and jump out. Because you're going to save yourself a lot of stressful nights.
Yep, a lot of heartache and pain. That's right.
Oh yeah, this thing is real out here, bro. It's serious. But that's where we're going to get reparations from, being able to position ourselves uniquely in that cryptocurrency, decentralized finance space early on, when some of these currencies that actually solve issues, so-called problems for the world.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can get in on these things when they're under a penny,
yep,
and get you, a couple of million or, a few 100,000, you can position yourself and your family to make things happen.
That's right. And I'm glad you mentioned Brother Harlan. For those of you guys who don't know, Brother Harlan runs our National Economics and Finance Department. And at our last leadership meeting, the leadership team meets every Sunday. At our last leadership meeting, Brother Harlan gave us, 12, 13, 14 different cryptocurrency technologies that we need to be investing in now. And I think most of them were under a penny. And that doesn't include silver. Silver is just extra, and gold if you can afford it. And we're not looking or expecting all of them to pop, to go big, and we don't need all of them to do so. All we need is good 2 or 3, and based on Brother Harlan's expertise, how long he's been doing this, his research, his understanding, chances are 7 or 8 of them are going to pop. So for those that are paying attention, it can most certainly put us not only individually with our families in a position to take money as an issue off the table, but it can lay a foundation for us to do things whereby we can really change how our communities look, how they function, and what they produce. So if you are not paying attention, you need to start researching that, and we're going to be in a position to start training our members to do that in a very short period of time. So last question, Brother Craig. The final question: if there was only one thing, one takeaway, you could absolutely 100% be sure that everyone gets from tonight's show, what would be one takeaway that you want everybody to get from tonight's show, and ensure that they have it in understanding? One takeaway. You can only give one.
Before you join any organization, do some serious research, some serious vetting before you get caught up. That's the one takeaway that I would say, because within the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, our people, and so you can understand this, young people were used as pawns. The only difference is with the Black Panther versus the SDLC, the NAACP. The young people ran the Black Panther. SNCC was mentored by older people and perceptively run by young people, but they used young people as pawns to get their ass beat out the frame, bit by dogs, water hose, because they were pushing the so-called nonviolent agenda. The Panthers used young folks as so-called militants, and they were being used as test dummies. And neither one of those things were ever going to work. Neither one of them, because with SNCC, these were people that was going around the country, mobilizing and organizing people in towns, and then they were going to leave. And after they, left, a lot of these people were going to get their asses beat and killed. And the Black Panthers, they were in their specific cities, but when you now start to talk about advocating killing the pigs, as in response to them committing atrocities against your people, that's cool. But understand, if you never engage in killing any of them, they know you playing. So I would just recommend that people know whatever organization that they're going to be a part of before they join, so that they really know how everything is going to flow and roll, and they don't get caught off guard.
Yeah, and make sure you fully understand the purpose of that organization and what they're trying to do. Because sadly, most of our organizations aren't trying to do much of anything, which is unfortunate. I apologize in advance, Brother Naru. Brother Michael's already made it known that he has a question. So you got to go second this time around, brother. I apologize. He beat you to the punch. So
don't bother me, bro.
All right, Brother Michael, you had a comment or a question, brother?
Yeah, and I'm not going to take too much time from the floor. My question and what both yourself and Brother Craig were mentioning. Now out here in LA and Oakland, the Panthers are like gods. I mean, you can't say nothing.
I know
that even may be truth that may not, shine the best light. Secondly, I connect with Dr. Malana Karinga and Soul Sessions and some of the stuff we're doing in the neighborhood, but every time I mention it to somebody out here, they always bring up the situation at UCLA, with Bunchy Carter, and some other brothers that got killed. It's never been a time where that's ever escaped me in terms of a conversation.
Every time you bring up what, Brother Mike?
Every time, I share with them as far as organization, us, and the Association of Black Social Workers collaborating on certain things in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of them hearing what we're doing, what's positive, they automatically tangent into the conflict between the Panther and people that weren't even born yet. Talk about that, and I respond, but I'm like, wait a minute, everybody was under Council Pro back then. Everybody was being infiltrated.
Yeah.
And with this, the FBI and others have fomented tension between us and
of course.
Of course. So it was just a matter of time, like Malcolm X said, a powder keg. So it was just about having a convenient place to do it. But the reality is, man, you're right. You got to do your research, because when you talk about them out here, it's a whole different ball game. But you're right. When Chairman Fred got killed, didn't nobody get no retaliation or nothing. Brother. And I thought about that. Brother. I'm like, okay, I was just making a question and comment. That's all. Thank you for.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
I was gonna say, Mike, and you're absolutely correct, and that just like the NAACP deifies some of these bourgeoisie Negroes, and they roll with false narratives. The grassroots, unconscious grassroots people do the same thing.
That's right.
And see, that's why we keep on repeating the same damn errors.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, and So Money will tell you, bro, I have sent that dude about 20 different videos and articles over the past few days. And I'm talking about videos roughly 2 hours in length where Bobby Seale is talking, and he's not telling the full truth, man. And because once you read and study, what is being said one place, and you see another video and say, oh, okay, bruh, this thing is on a whole nother different level. Again, I respect and revere their courage. But when you advocate Eurocentric philosophy and you really don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you're not even, they weren't even a part of the capitalistic system, the free enterprise game, to even really be able to comment on it. So when you look at their 10-point platform, you'll see the immaturity in that. And then there's a video, Mike, I'm gonna send to you, where they founded the Black Panther Party at Merritt College, and Brother Naru is gonna discuss that, I know, because he lives right down the street from it. But in that video, they're talking about how great this goddamn 10-point platform is. And I'm just gonna be honest with you, bro. It's one of the most trivial documents that I could even think about. I mean, the stuff that they're talking about didn't really make any sense if you understand power in capitalism, socialism, or anything else. And it just was unfortunate that they were in a rhetoric game and they were using guns as props to create the illusion. And so now what happens 50-some years later? You get the so-called Grandmaster Jay doing the same goddamn thing, playing the same game that they were playing, and lead people down the same damn hole, even though he wasn't real at all. It's the same type of hustle.
Brother Craig, he had me for a minute. He had me for a minute, Brother Craig. He had me for a minute.
But I kept on telling you he wasn't legit.
Where's he at now? I ain't seen him.
And that's the point. That's the point, Brother Mike, that Brother Craig says all the time. We absolutely must be willing and brave enough to research our past movements and leaders. Because if we don't, we'll continue to make the same mistakes and fall for the okie doke. Because we don't understand what they got wrong. And it don't mean, like Brother Craig started out by saying, you got to give them respect because they tried and they were brave and they were so young and they didn't have a clue. But they stood up and they tried to make something happen. So you got to give them that much respect. But you also have to be honest enough, not necessarily for their sake, but for those that are living now and those that are coming after us. Because if we don't critically research, if we don't critically analyze, assess, and research what they were trying to do, how they were trying to do it, then our people will continue to make the same mistakes. And that's why we have so many movements that believe you can sue America. We're going to get reparations. I had a sister send me an article today about being part of a tribe that the UN is going to form. I mean, just crazy stuff that we think is actually going to work because we're not willing to critique those that have come before us and that quite possibly have gotten us to where we are. And if you know anything about me, I'm always talking about the shrine, and I always will. But that don't mean the shrine was perfect. The shrine had holes and made mistakes and blah blah blah. So I respectfully give them their props, but I can't stop and ignore all the stuff that I know we didn't do well. So if we don't take time to critically analyze, and I hope you are there, brother Mike, when we do the movie review of Judas and the Black Panther.
Okay.
Because those videos and those articles that Brother Craig has, We've had some eye-opening sessions. He had some come to Jesus revelations. He had about 55 of them over the past few days. You know, it's like, oh, now I get it. And it was just, you know, stuff that's becoming clear. But if you don't take the time to study and understand and analyze, you'll think that the Black Panthers were the end-all be-all. And to be quite honest, if we were to really be honest with ourselves, and we think about everything that all of our great leaders have said, at the end of the day, in 2021, what did they leave us? Other than some good speeches. Other than the Nation of Islam and the Shrines of the Black Madonna that had some institutions, I don't know. The Panthers, Stokely Carmichael, the SNCC, the Garvey Eyes. I mean, it's like, concretely, what do we have as far as institutions, power, land, agriculture, or whatever? Yeah. So if they were trying to do a good thing, and if right now we don't have anything that we can tangibly put our hands on, then we have to ask the question why? Not out of disrespect, but because we got to have some shit as a people if we're going to make it. And we can't look to people who gave nice speeches but didn't really leave us with anything. We can't look at those persons as solutions and answers, because if they had the solution and the answer, then we wouldn't be in the position that we're in.
So let me give you an example before we go to Nauru. This is their 10-point platform. Listen to this.
I just put it in the chat.
Yeah, we want freedom. That's already retarded. Your oppressor can't give you no goddamn freedom. You're a damn oppressed because you're a goddamn slave. So the damn oppressor is not going to free you. That's counterproductive to their system. We want power. The goddamn oppressor ain't going to give you no damn power. If they're not going to give you freedom, they damn sure ain't going to give you power to determine the destiny of our Black and oppressed community. That ain't going to happen unless you make it happen. Number two, we want full employment for our people. That means your ass want to go back to slavery, because that's the last damn time that we had full employment for our people. Who's going to give you that if you ain't starting your own business? Do you understand how crazy that is? So you want full employment. So that means, wait a minute now, that means some white folks ain't going to be able to have jobs. Wow. White corporations are not going to have their own white folks to give your ass all the jobs. Retarded. We want an end to the robbery by the capitalists of our Black and oppressed communities. That ain't going to happen because that's capitalism. But guess what that also is? Socialism and communism too. We want decent housing fit for shelter of human beings. That's good, but you got to make that happen your damn self if you put together the game plan. We want decent education. What the hell does that mean? Decent education for our people that exposes. Now listen to this now. This is crazy. We want a decent education for our people that exposes the true nature of this decadent American society. We want education that teaches us our true history and our role in the present day society. So you want a system that's going to teach everybody how evil the cracker is to you. Okay, all right. We want completely free health care for all Black and oppressed people. Really? We want an immediate end to police brutality and murder of Black people, other people of color, all oppressed people inside the United States. We want an immediate end to all wars of aggression. Huh? So now you're going to tell the United States who the hell they really we want. Now notice now, everything is what we want. We want freedom for all Black and oppressed people now held in U.S., federal, state, county, city, and military prisons and jails. We want trials by jury of peers for all persons charged with so-called crimes under the laws of this country. Now, you know goddamn well that a lot of Negro savages need their ass in jail. Now, come on now. And lastly, we want land, bread, housing, education, clothing, justice, peace, and people's community control of modern technology. So now let me get this straight. You want all this plus you want control of goddamn technology. Bruh. And they thought this was a great document. Okay, that's all I have to say.
And our people are still producing those kinds of documents, demanding things. I listened to a video last week of a brother talking about a brother and a sister with the whole reparations movement. This is why you must give us reparations. We're still doing the same thing. Why? Because we're if goddamn, excuse my French, blackgoldmedia.net, go to the website, find that movie review of that 1972 discussion. Black people talking about the same shit. Why? Because we ain't learned a goddamn thing. And if you were to scroll up in the text, scroll up in the chat, look at those 3 things I asked Brother Craig. What would you tell Chairman Fred to do? Those 3 simple things we need to do. And goddamn it, if we did those 3 simple things, the 10-point program would be necessary. Why? Because we'd have it. And that's where we fail, because we don't understand that everything we want, everything we need, everything we deserve, goddamn it, you can have it, but your punk ass got to go get it. And if you're not willing to go get it, and going to get it, goes back to the number 1 thing Brother Craig said, the 6 pillars: spirituality, right culture, education, economics, socioeconomics, and politics. Those 6 things are why our movements have failed, all of them. Because we didn't have those 6 things. So I say to people, which I firmly believe, obviously, that the Black Gold Nation movement is a culmination of all these movements. Not because of me, not because of Craig, not because of Harlan, but because of the collection of leadership that we have. Because of the membership that we're building. There is nothing Black people cannot do. But if we're going to do anything, you got to be open and honest with those who've come before. What they got right, what they got wrong, what we can build upon, and what we got to kick to the motherfucking curb, because we won't have time to be doing shit that don't make no goddamn sense. And our people are still doing it. Why? Because we haven't learned, because we don't know no better. The whole education system of America is a joke. We know that. But we get excited. You know, when I hear people talking about the scholarship fund, a scholarship fund for what? So your kid can go to school and learn how to be a drone. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal because we haven't learned anything. We don't know any better. So if we can't be honest with ourselves about what our people got wrong and right, then we're never going to move forward. And that's a problem. Brother Naru?
Man, y'all kind of hot tonight, man. What's going on? First off, Tamani, I'm gonna need you to send me Harlan's list for the cryptocurrency.
Brother, trust me. We have all of, and I'm gonna say this at the end, but since you pointed out, we're gonna start, educating and training all of our leaders and members, because our goal, Brother Naru, and for those of you who aren't in the movement, I implore you to become a part. Brother Naru, our goal, Brother Craig and I and Harlan, our goal is to make all of our members multimillionaires within 2 years. Because not so you can go buy a Cadillac, and you're not gonna do it anyway because it's not your nature, but we need you to focus on the movement. And we can't focus on the movement because we got bills to pay, we got family, blah, blah, blah. That's life. So if we can remove that, then you can focus on your music, you can focus on your movie production, and you can do some of the things that you already want to do to move Black people forward that might be a hindrance because you haven't had the money. So we want to remove that so that our people can move. So trust me, brother, you already on the list. You're on the list by default.
Yes, sir. Well, I like that. So I want to push back on the 10-point program just a little bit. You know, I'm from Oakland. I ain't gonna let y'all just run my Panthers in the ground like that, bro.
We love the Panthers.
I know you do, but look here. First off, this was a document put together for the people, not for the government, although it did get out. So these were people, young people, and as you already stated, Brother Tamani, these people in their 20s, okay?
Yes,
we already know how we were in our 20s.
No doubt.
So just off the top, to have the wherewithal to actually build something that went international was phenomenal off top.
True.
So they did some of the things that they did ask for, as Brother Craig said, were a little bit outrageous, but they didn't know any better. But some of the things they actually did do. So they did start their own schools where they were talking about the white supremacy system in their schools. They weren't looking for the government to educate their children. So first and foremost, we do have to acknowledge that they did do that, as well as start free clinics that did go in different states here. I believe they had one in Chicago, here in Oakland, of course, and maybe New York and a couple other places. I can't remember off top. So I've been actually building with some of the older Black Panthers who do acknowledge that they made mistakes, Brother Satu, Ned, and some of the other OGs out here. So they acknowledge, they know. And if we look at as even when some of the Panthers got older, they started to understand what you're talking about, Craig, about politics. They need to control politics. It might have been a little bit too late. You know, we had people running for mayor and Congress and all that stuff. So they did kind of understand that later on. So we do have to acknowledge that as you grow, you learn and you do better. But in our reality, we have had many movements here, but we also have a very strong enemy. Let's not ever forget that. So even when we're having the ability to build things, you know, we always talk about Black Wall Street and things of that nature. We see how it was destroyed. We see how just in the Panther movie, how that chapter was taken down from the inside out. So we have a very strong enemy. And so I know you always talk about right culture, but I'm going to even push back on that a little bit, because man, we're trying to do the right thing and we got an enemy that that's not doing the right thing. I want to know what you mean by right culture and how that is truly going to help us against an enemy who don't give a I almost said it, about right culture. They don't care nothing about no right culture. So please break down a little bit more what you mean by right culture, because I wanted to clarify. And I apologize if you've explained it in a previous episode.
No, ain't no problem. So when we talk about culture in and of itself, language, nutrition, fashion, customs of a particular ethnic group, the reason that myself and my research partner, Brother Amari Davis, coined the term right is because when you go back to the continent and I'm gonna give you one practice that's done on the continent that is wrong, and that is the castration of females with their clitoris, all right? So that's that's a cultural practice with some tribes, right? Now, how do we know that that's wrong? Because the Creator gave them the body for it, right? So now, a part of the cultural practice is to cut that off, which is really to control the sexual desires of a female, okay? But they're going to say, you know, Baba, you know, whoever, whatever deity told them that they're supposed to do that. So when we're talking about right culture, it's not about the external entity or enemy. It's really about what we got to do that's an internal, and Brother Ken just said it, an internal correction that keeps us structured and focused on connecting with the spiritual entity that gives us our power and the ancestral force. Okay? So that's when I say right, that's what we're talking about. Because we're not infallible. So we got to be able to look at what we've done historically within the construct of our cultural practices and be brave enough to correct that shit. Be brave enough to correct it. You see, that's all I'm saying when I'm talking about right. Because that's why spirituality is above culture, because there's some things that we're not doing that is correct that we got to correct, and we got to have the courage to actually correct them.
That's great. I'd love you to put a list together with some of those things. That's more kind of where I'm headed, or more definitive things that I'd like to know what you mean by that. No, that's great. And I have one more. You know, I got to push back. Oh, go ahead, Craig.
Religiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Religiosity is another thing that we got to eliminate.
Oh, you without a doubt.
In order to embrace spirituality. So that now your mind is liquid, so that you go beyond the realm of religious indoctrination, so that you can truly tap in to your supernatural power. So those are just two quick ones that we're talking about. But for the most part, that which we're tapping back into is necessary. And if you go to the movie Black Panther, remember there were certain things that T'Challa's dad did that were not right.
True.
And upon him coming back from near-death experience, he said, "This is not right. What you all did is wrong. I got to correct these are wrong." You see what I'm saying? And so that's what I'm talking about when I say right culture. Having the courage to acknowledge things that we do not always do correctly and be able to correct.
And let me add to that before you ask your next question, Naru. Have you by any chance ever studied any wars at all, Naru?
Not totally, but I know that it's war on many different fronts, and I understand that there's many levels to war.
Yeah.
You know, to me, the main thing would be, you know, the ability to have food and shelter during wars and things like that. Things that
Sure.
people don't actually think about that go into war that are much more detailed than just picking up a gun and shooting.
Right.
But yeah, go for it, because I know you've been in the military.
Most people think that the Vietnam War started when America showed up. The Vietnamese had been fighting the French for I think 35, 40 years. They've been fighting for a very long time. And the French had to leave because the Vietnamese culture was, we will not lose by any means necessary. We gonna they had cities that they built underground so they could move around their country, and they refused. And brother, some of the things that they did with you know, America's might against somebody with a machete who has a spirit of I will not lose. That's right culture as it relates to the Vietnamese and winning the war. We have been so screwed up by white people in this American system that we don't know anything about how to do what we need to do. And so many of us are cowards. We talk a lot of noise about, you know, what we gonna do. You seen the movie yet? Judas and the Black Messiah?
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's like when Bill O'Neill met the informant, the one that was from another chapter. And then he started talking about, well, you lucky you got to him before I did, because I would have smoked his ass. I would have stabbed. Nigga was lying. But that's what we do. You know, we talk a lot about what we're gonna do, and it's like when Chairman Fred went to the club to talk to the Crowns, when he went to their headquarters, they quick to pull out a gun on the brother. Had weapons all over the place on these black people. Won't shoot no cops. Won't kidnap. Won't burn. Won't nothing. Because in our heads we say, okay, I can kill a nigga because he's just a nigga. But the white man I can't touch. Well, if you bought that life, you need to be able to reach out and touch. And the only way this thing is going to work is if we understand that we are fighting a multi-dimensional war, because this is a multi-dimensional reality. And we got to have people who are willing to operate and function and move on multiple levels. And some of us got to be willing to both put glass in the oatmeal as well as reach out and touch people, because Naru, there are only two things that white people respect and that make them take pause. You take their money or you take their life. Nothing else matters.
True.
Your demands, you calling on Jesus, nothing else matters. So until a police officer, a politician, or whomever, until they have very serious worry about, if I harm one of theirs, I could lose 5 of my own. Until that reality is real, then they don't care. And that has to be a part of right culture. We're going to have to raise some African samurais who have a code of conduct that they understand their purpose is to eliminate the enemy. And those people don't exist at this point. But we need them just like we need teachers and educators and janitors and engineers and scientists. We got to have hitters and we got to have killers that are righteous with what they're trying to do. Otherwise, we'll always be punked by white people. I'm done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. I want to push back on reparations a little bit too.
Come
I think reparations is going to happen. And you know why I think it's going to happen? Because it's going to benefit the plutocracy. Because we
on. They
don't
gonna
own
get it
the
back.
banks. We don't own the banks.
Because they gonna get
We
it all
don't own
back.
real estate. All the money that they give, unless we get land and things of that nature, if we get money, we're going to give it all back. You already know. So that's why I think they're going to finally figure out, man, let's give them some reparations. We're going to get it all right back. In the next 2 to 3 years, they're gonna give it all back to us. They're gonna buy some sneakers, they're gonna buy some alcohol, they're gonna buy some weed from the now legal weed dispensary. We own all them. They gonna put the money right back in our bank so we can make money off of them. So I kind of think they're gonna give us reparations. It might not be what we think. I think they're gonna give us some just because it's gonna benefit them more than it's gonna benefit us.
So,
What you think about that, brother Craig?
If I were the Caucasians, I would do it. So then it'll be a wrap.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen because of what you saw in January. It's not going to happen because they don't even want to give up $2,000 stimulus check. Okay, so at this stage in the ball game, people can maneuver with it, but it's not going to happen. If it happens, cool. I'm always willing to make the spiritual claim for reparations on behalf of our ancestors, but that's nothing that I would build a political platform around.
No, I wouldn't either. I agree, but I just think I think they gonna give us some, and we're gonna give it all right back. That's just what I believe. But,
yeah.
I mean, you're right. That's damn sure what would happen.
Yeah, and that's a problem now, Ru, because a lot of us think that reparations is the end all be all. We're gonna get reparations and we're gonna be free. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, all of our problems gonna go away. We ain't gonna have to deal with white supremacy, and that ain't gonna happen. It's like a lot of us waiting for Jesus to come back because Jesus is gonna take care of it. Yeah. So if we get reparations like that, then like you just said, and you are correct. We're gonna have nice shoes and nice cars and give all that shit back, which of course is not the point.
Trust me, I've seen what happens when Negroes win several $1 million in the damn Texas lottery. Mm-hmm. Trust me, it ain't a pretty sight.
Dig it. Okay, so does anyone else have a question or comment for Brother Craig?
Well, I do want to just say thank you to both of you, and I'm happy that you both are safe because I know you guys were out there in that storm, you Tamani in Texas, and you, Brother Craig, in Houston. You too, Brother Ken. So just hopefully that all your family and friends came through okay, and just happy to see you guys today.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Yeah, I'm a prepper, so we were solid. When the power went out, I'm like, well, shit. Other than that, we were gonna be all right because we stock up on stuff. But I appreciate it, brother. I thank you very much. That's cool. All right.
I do want to hit. Brother Mike brought up something, and I don't know if a lot of people were listening to what he said when he brought it up. But he brought up Bunchy Carter, and he brought up the situation that went down at UCLA. And this is a part of what I'm talking about when you lack spirituality and right coaching. And if you're not aware of this, and all this happened in 1969. I mean, this happened in January of '69, and Fred Hampton was assassinated December '69. But the year started off real bad for the Panthers because here you got Melena Karenga's group, who now gets into it with the Black Panthers, and guess what it was over? Guess what they got into it about? Mike, do you know?
Black Studies. Who gonna be the one to lead on Black Studies program at UCLA?
Goddamn Black Studies. Did y'all hear me?
Yeah. And Brother Craig, right after that, the police that year the police raided the headquarters out here in LA for the Panthers too.
Yeah. Look here, man. Tamani, these Negroes got into it about who was going to be the goddamn head of the damn Black Studies group. And they had a meeting to determine this. And the organization, us people, came in with guns. The Panthers didn't have them. And Bunchy Carter and John Huggins, another Black Panther person, gets killed January 17, 1969. Now, what in the hell would you kill somebody over who gonna be over the damn Black Studies group for, man? At a white school.
Mm.
At a goddamn white school. At UCLA. So, without spirituality and right culture, that's what I'm saying. It is that. When I talk about right culture, that's what I'm talking about. What the hell would you be doing killing somebody over who gonna be the head of a damn African studies program at a white school? This is where we're at. See, the Panthers didn't have a spiritual and cultural foundation. They didn't. They didn't. And apparently, the Operation Us, they weren't operating with right culture, but they, had the dashikis and all this shit. I think they felt that they needed to step up their game to meet, the level of aggression of the Black Panthers. So yet again, willing to bust a cap in a Negro's ass.
That's right.
But would never go kill those damn cops.
Right.
That's problematic, brother. And then the other thing I wanted to bring out, because the Black Panthers did a disservice to two groups. The Lowndes County Freedom Party.
Yeah.
Because they stole the goddamn Black Panther from them. Because they started the Lowndes County Freedom Party in 1965. Stokely Carmichael and John Hewlett. Okay, they steal that from them. And then, where did they get the gunplay from? Louisiana, the Deacons for Defense. But nowhere do you hear them mention any of that when they talk about their influences. Guess who they focus on? Karl Marx, Lenin, Stalin, Mao Zedong, Che Guevara. But everything they got came from
Black people.
Those two entities. I mean, really, man, I love their courage. But we got to be real critical and objective when we sit down and look at this. And if you think that a lot of this didn't play out within that overall dynamic, bruh, we fooling ourselves, brother. We fooling ourselves.
And let me say, until Brother Craig and I had the conversations we've been having that brought a lot of things to light. In the shrine, we had two sayings, DBI and ABI. DBI was the declaration of Black inferiority. White people have declared us inferior. And based on everything they've done to us, we now have ABI, an acceptance of Black inferiority. They declared us DBI inferior, and we accepted ABI. I was thinking, before Brother Craig continued to do the research and we had conversations, I was thinking that their refusal to acknowledge Black revolutionaries, their Black foundation, everything Brother Malcolm was saying, I was thinking that was ABI. They accepted the white man's myth of Black inferiority because they weren't acknowledging the Black revolutionaries, the Black leadership, blah, blah, blah. However, the more Brother Craig researched and the more we talked about, and again, I don't want to go too far because we will have the movie discussion and I know it's going to be a whopper. Two things: who you sleep with and who you get your money from determine your politics. So I don't think it was as much an acceptance of Black inferiority as they were getting their money from other sources, which controlled everything, which goes back to what the fuck. And that's why we got to research with love and respect, of course.
He just brought up a good thing from the
all right, goddamn it, it's 10:36. No, man, we can't go there because that's going to take more time.
Okay. I just ended with the propaganda of the deed, but I want to ask Naru one question though. Naru, are you aware? Do you know why Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, left to go to Africa in 1969?
I am not.
He left because when he joined up or attempted to join up with the Black Panthers, J. Edgar Hoover was able to convince those Negroes that he was a CIA agent. So they put a hit out on him. So he had to flee. He had to leave America to not get killed. See, when you don't have spirituality and right culture, when they start putting these things out there, bruh, you ain't knowing what's what. Mm-hmm. And then when you go back and research, my homeboy, Pure P, was in jail from 67 to 1970 up on the murder charge. You see, I saw another documentary that let it be known that he did murder a female, which he was charged with that murder, but he wasn't convicted. I mean, like, these cats were literally killing females as well and raping females. He had Elaine Brown, who he dated, you know, who was one of their top leaders. He had Elaine Brown have sex with a white boy so they could get $12,000. Bruh, they was into some shit, man. Yeah. I'm just being honest with you.
I already know, bro. I know they wasn't, you know, the most upstanding people. They used to get down with the drug dealers out here too, bro. And you know, we can get in that later. It's late, but no.
Yeah, I read up they were doing shakedowns on.
Oh yeah, oh without a doubt.
Now, what kind of shit is this? So now we learned that Bobby Seale has been trying to get a movie deal since the 90s. And he still ain't got his goddamn movie done, right? So my thing is this, man. As we move forward in what we got to do with the Black Gold Nation or whatever organization that we're in, brother, without spirituality and right culture, you just setting yourself up because the government and these white folks about their life, and they gonna test your punk ass.
And think about this now, Ruth. Think about this. So Stokely had to flee because the government put out he's an informant, snitch, whatever the hell, and the Panthers, we gonna kill that nigga. All right. So there's a rumor the brother got to flee because black people gonna kill him. Your leader gets assassinated. You don't put no hits out on white people. You know, so we got to be real, man. We got to stop playing games. We got to stop romanticizing. And I'm going to be honest with you now, Ru. I've had some heated conversations with Brother Craig about the shrine. And you know, fuck, the shrine is my heart. I give credence every single 20 years, man. And Sidi Fabu was a member a lot longer than I have. But if I am being honest with what I'm trying to do for my son, my kids, and everybody that's following, your daughter as well. I cannot, it would be wrong of me to not do everything I can to ensure that your daughter has an organization that's going to look out for her because I got some emotional hangups with some bullshit. We can't do that. So we have to, yes, always, man, we respect what they did. But like I say in all my presentations, we got to study what they got right, what they got wrong, and we got to be honest with ourselves. Because again, if we're not honest, we'll elevate, romanticize, and then you know, and that ain't cool. We can't do that.
Yeah. So that's what I had. Just one correction for Sister Fabu. Elaine Brown was not married to Eldridge. Kathleen Cleaver was his wife. Elaine Brown was involved with Purity Newt.
Okay, so does anyone else have a question or comment for Brother Craig before we shut this thing down? Comments going once, going twice. All right, cool. All right, Brother Craig, closing remarks.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for engaging us this evening. And like I say, man, we gotta constantly do study. Um, I want you guys to, for the first time ever, for most of you, pull up, do a Google search, look up Adam Smith. He's considered to be the father of capitalism. Study this cat, okay? So you can understand what capitalism is, and you're going to see a lot of different terms. The one thing I can tell you that I love about Wikipedia, it is not the end all to be all, but it's a beginning source of research. And they will point out various terms that can lead you to study more things like fascism, mercantilism, things of that nature. I want you all to study Karl Marx. Learn what socialism and communism is. Because these are the governing economic and political philosophy that's running the world. Capitalism, communism, socialism, they're running the world. And for the first time in my life, I created my own economic and political system. I was telling Tamani called culturalism, but I wasn't even looking to try to, put it in the context of a book and all of this shit, because I just do the work. But now I get it why the creator led me to create this concept, because every ethnic group has to have a seat at the table. But for those grassroots people like us, we work with other grassroots entities on the premise of collective freedom, justice, cultural respect, and equity. And everybody got to have a seat at the table. Now, majority rule, but we need to hear from, if you're Greek or Native American, whatever the hell you consider yourself to be, whatever space we're in, majority rules. Now, we're going to run these towns that we're going to be located in, but we need to make sure that we reach out to the grassroots people. Because, see, Karl Marx wanted what they call the proletariat. I mean, in the goddamn movie, you'll hear this term thrown out, proletariat, which means grassroots, the working class person. See, Fred Hampton couldn't even say grassroots. They were so indoctrinated with the white folks that they say proletariat. They know what the hell that is. That's like Martin Luther King saying pugilist instead of just saying, God damn it, you're a boxer. So who are you really writing to? Who are you talking to when you use this terminology? There's another word y'all need to look up, dialectics. You're going to hear that when Bobby Seale throws these terms out. Dialectics. So that's a form of logic. That's logic, having logical discussion. But they use these terms because they've heard white folks use the goddamn term. Okay? So we got to elevate ourselves. And the only thing that's going to really detoxify our minds, brother, is spirituality and right culture. And without that, we're just going to be a parakeet for goddamn Karl Marx and Lenin and Stalin and all these other ones, instead of advocating our own Afrocentric foundation. And that's what Black Gold Nation is all about. That's what we all need to be about. And quiet as kept, that's the other reason that they didn't like Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, because Kwame Ture wasn't about them white folks being in the organization. And the Panthers was playing a dangerous game. I ain't gonna even lie. They was playing some games, for real. And they were trying to run hustles to get money from white folks while using the tokenism for Negroes, free lunch, free health. All that's nice, but it was all a part of a bigger plot. And guess who was giving them money? White folks. Jane Fonda, Hollywood celebrity. Research it so you can see what time it is. Where you get your goddamn money from and who you having sex with determines your policy. Peace.
And it's also extremely important that we know and understand, and we embrace the reality of aside from math and science, everything else got to be relearned because we don't understand anything. Everything that we think we know is coming from white people, and it's wrong. It's right for them, wrong for us. So aside from math and science, everything, I tell Brother Craig that I'm so happy I'm not him, because he's been given all of these intellectual gifts for a reason. And it's not just so his big head can get bigger. That's why he wears the thing on his head. He got a big head. But he has to lay out a curriculum to re-educate Black people. And of course, he can't do that on his own, but he is the tip of the spear. So, man, this brother is sending me 5:30 in the morning, 4, 5, 6, 7 articles. And then he's sending videos. And it's on different subject matter. So we have to unlearn everything in multiple arenas because we don't understand the reality that we live in. Our people live in the matrix. And if we don't get them out of the matrix, we're simply not going to make it. So I think all of you guys have heard me send my email. I don't know how many times, theblackgoldnation@gmail.com if you want more information. The main website, blackgoldnation.com. The media website, blackgoldmedia.net. That's where you can go see the other episodes of the show, as well as the movie reviews. All of our movie reviews, are about the struggle, Black people, getting us to understand what's what. We don't have time to waste, and we don't waste any time talking about things that don't matter. As I said earlier, we're about to start educating our leaders initially, and then our members and supporters on the importance of investing in cryptocurrencies and the underlying technologies of cryptocurrency. As Brother Craig said, the economic and financial engines that run the world are changing. There's going to be I'm not sure if it's a transfer of wealth, but there's going to be the creation of wealth that we can most certainly benefit from, that will allow us to, again, not only put our families in a different position financially, but we'll be able to fund some things that we've never been able to fund before as it relates to moving our people forward, because we've never had the money. And it's going to be huge. Brother Craig has already started to make some moves that he can see the benefit from, and he's just been doing it for a few weeks. So we want to make sure that we position ourselves, because in this movement, we are really trying to liberate and save Black people. If it's not about power, we don't have shit to do with it, because we don't have that kind of time, and we're not interested. So economic power is just one of the things that we got to have power in, along with spirituality, agriculture, economics, blah, 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 across the board. So if you're not already a member or supporter, and you want to not only be a part to help us build this thing, but you also want to learn more about this whole cryptocurrency space and blockchain and whatnot, we invite you to become part of the movement, because really everything we do is about bringing our people together so we can find the right people. Lastly, we have a new show that we're preparing for, coming online in a few weeks. Brother Harlan Robinson is going to be the host of that show. It is titled Building Wakanda, Inspiring the Next Generation. And we are actively looking for Black scientists, Black engineers, and Black architects from all disciplines, all sub-disciplines of those categories, because we want to ask the question, if we were going to build Wakanda, how do we do it? And of course, for us, we don't ask questions just to be asking. We're asking to get answers so we can build this thing. And of course, we might not see it because most of us are over the age of 30, 35. But Sister Patrice's son, who's only 5, could most certainly see it if we put him in a position to have that be his reality. So if you are a Black scientist, a Black engineer, or a Black architect, and you are open to being interviewed for this show, then let us know. Or if you know some Black architects, scientists, or engineers, let us know as well. As I said initially, we are not here, Brother Craig and I, we're not here just to inform or educate. We're trying to get you to do something. So everything that we do is about informing, educating, mobilizing, motivating, organizing, so that we can build. Why? Because we got enemies. Why? Because they are serious. Why? Because when they say by any means necessary, Negro, they mean it. If we don't have power, then they're going to continue to win, and we don't want to keep losing. So if you are serious, and I do mean if, about the overall liberation and salvation of Black people. If you believe that our children are worth it, if you believe that the world is out of kilter because we are out of kilter, then help us make this thing a reality and become a part of the movement. Last two things: always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely always remember that nothing is more sacred, not you, not me, not your kids, not my kids, not your family, not my family. Nothing is more sacred than the liberation and salvation of Black people, because if Black people don't make it, you're not gonna make it, I'm not gonna make it, our kids aren't gonna make it, and our families are not going to make it. But if we take care of the group, if we put the tribe first, if we put the nation first, if we become race people first and build power for our people, then by default, everybody that's connected to that group will also have power, and we can wield it like a double-edged sword and do what the hell we need to do and get back to running the planet like we used to. So I apologize for the length of the show. That is Brother Craig's fault. Everything that goes wrong is his fault. I apologize. We're going to pray for him, both white and Black Jesus, because the brother needs all the help he can get. So with that, y'all have a nice evening. God bless. We'll see y'all next Thursday. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
You